Good afternoon, my dear students. Welcome to our news analysis. Today I am covering 3 days of newspaper, 24, 25 and 26 of January. So, I am sure that you have been going through the newspapers all these days. To the extent possible, we shall make it an everyday program, but in between sometimes we may have certain technical issues or other work related pressures. So, if that were the case, I shall do that day's newspaper also on the next day, but I promise you that I will not miss even a single day's news to you, because I know how valuable it is for those people who prepare for competitive exams. So, we shall start. Bridge to UP closed ahead of farmers' rally. India-China troops clashed at Nakula, it is in Sikkim. Protesters all set for Republic Day tractor parades in Delhi. We know that protesters made a strong protest on the Republic Day in Delhi, and all those issues will be reported in by newspaper of tomorrow's newspaper, because today 26th, 27th there is no newspaper. We will cover those things. Government has announced the Republic Day Parade Awards. The Padma Vibhushan has been conferred on the late SPB, and Shinzo Abe Mahavir Chakra for Colonel Babu. So, the awards are of two categories: civilian awards and military honours. The highest civilian award is Bharat Ratna, which was not conferred on anybody this year. Bridge to UP closed ahead of farmers' rally. New Delhi police, the Delhi police closed the signature bridge over the Yamuna on Monday night after tractors tried to enter the capital from UP. Farmers on hundreds of tractors from Baghpat were threatening to enter Delhi at Loni border. Iraj Raja, the police superintendent of Ghaziabad, say they are directionless and leaderless. They want to go to Red Fort. They were told to take the prescribed route via Kunli Ghaziabad Palwal expressway to reach Ghaziapur border, but they refused and are misbehaving with the police. Anyway, India is witnessing a major issue. The farmers, the breadwinners of the country, are fighting against the certain government laws, 3 government laws, which they believe are possible hindrances to their survival. Overzealous threat. Bihar police circular on social media post reveals low tolerance for criticism. This was exactly what we said in the last day. During the news analysis, we said that the latest order by the IGF police in Bihar asking governmental department to report to them about any unwanted or so called not warranted social media post against any government officials, so that actions could be taken against them. The Hindu clearly says that the warning by the Bihar police for legal action being taken against users of social media for offensive posts targeting the government, its ministers and officials, betrays both hypersensitivity and ignorance of law. It represents an unacceptable combination of low tolerance for criticism and a zeal to cow down the public. Listen, why the police officials are doing like this, knowing very well that going against the spirit of the law and spirit of democracy that offers chance for people to criticize, doesn't matter whether they criticize the ministers or officials of anybody. In an open society, people may criticize, and that cannot be stopped, and taking legal action against them may not be the right way, because criticisms cannot be cowed down that easily. So it shows very low tolerance level of the officials as well as the officialdom. The first question is given to you. Pick out the incorrect information among the 2021 Padma Vibhushan Awardees. SP Balasubramaniam, singer Tamil Nadu; Belle Manappa Hegde, medicine Karnataka; Maulana Wahiduddin Khan, spiritualism Delhi; BB Lal, archaeology Delhi; Sudarshan Sahoo, art Odisha; Shinzo Abe, former Prime Minister of Singapore. Which of the following is incorrect? Give me the answer. Yes, I have started getting responses from my students. Good, let us get a few more. The answer is, most of you got it correct. It is F only, that is the wrong thing. Shinzo Abe is the former Prime Minister of Japan. Shinzo Abe resigned because of ill health a year ago. So he is the former Prime Minister of Japan. Very important question. The second highest civilian honor, the nation is honoring heroes. So a very important question. Just underneath the Padma, the Bharat Ratna, the highest civilian order, comes Padma Vibhushan, the second highest civilian honor that is conferred on a few people, very important. Sudarshan Sahoo, who won Padma Vibhushan for 2021, is a famous Kathak dancer, Carnatic musician, sculptor, novelist or music composer. Very important. You should know about each one of the Padma awardees, especially Padma Vibhushan and Padma Bhushan. You should know each one of them, their places of the states they belong to, and their areas of commitment and contribution. Yes, please give the answer. Athira has come out with a response. Okay, good. A few more responses are expected. Yes, it is correct, he is a sculptor. So the answer is the third option, he is a sculptor. Padma Vibhushan for SPB Shinzo Abe. All the names were covered. The second highest wartime gallantry award, Mahavir Chakra, is given to Colonel Santosh Babu, commanding officer of 16 Bihar, who lost his life in the Galvan Valley clash with Chinese troops in June last. We know about the skirmishes that Indian Army had with the Chinese Army in the eastern border on the Galvan Valley. The armies were face to face and we lost our 20 soldiers. Paswan Gogoi to get Padma Bhushan. Very important. All the Padma awards awardees, you should know their contribution, their area of working, area of contribution, and the place or the state that they belong to. Legendary singer S.P. Balasubramaniam will get Padma Vibhushan posthumously, the second highest civilian award. Former Prime Minister of Japan Shinzo Abe, Islamic scholar Maulana Wahiduddin, cardiologist B.M. Hegde and B.B. Lal, and archaeologist B.B. Lal, archaeologist who claimed to have discovered temple remains at Ayodhya, will also get Padma Vibhushan. Okay, very important. Padma Bhushan will be conferred posthumously on Assam Chief Minister, former Assam Chief Minister Tarun Gogoi, former Union Minister Ramvilas Paswan, former Gujarat Chief Minister Kesubhai Patel, and Shia cleric Kalbe Sadiq. Very important. Make a detailed note of all the Padma awardees of 2021. Delhi may be heading towards herd immunity. It is a big revelation. The outcome of the 5th round of seroprevalence survey has indicated that Delhi's population could be heading towards attaining herd immunity against COVID-19. The survey found that in one district 50 to 60% of the sample population, 50 to 60% of the sample population have developed antibodies. It means the disease have already affected them and without leaving any kind of symptoms to them. So, survey which ended a few days ago, samples of 25,000 people from various districts across the city were collected. Delhi's population is over 2 crore spread across 11 districts. Experts say herd immunity is said to have been developed in a population segment if 50 to 60% of those who are found to have the presence of antibodies in a seroprevalence survey. So, if 50 to 60% of the people of the samples show the presence of antibodies, then the experts will confirm that they have developed herd immunity. The similar was the case of a survey conducted in Pune. It means that it is not vaccine which is going to help us. It means that it is not the so-called closing down of shops which is going to help us. It is going to be the herd immunity that is going to get developed in the society, which is going to help us. So, please read these articles, write-ups. Billionaires' wealth rose 35% during lockdown. So, the lockdown period was very bad for substantial percent of the societies. They lost their jobs. We could see migrant laborers running away from their workplaces to their homes. They wanted their lives back. There was a panic which could be seen everywhere in the country. Now the moratorium period is over, so businesses are finding very difficult to repay their loans. Banks are also in trouble. Everybody is facing issues, but this news says that there are people who made good fortunes during the COVID times. Mukesh Ambani's income was 90 crore per hour during the pandemic, while when around 24% of the people in the country were earning under 3,000 a month during lockdown. When 24% of the population of this country were earning less than 3,000 rupees per month, the richest man in this country, Mukesh Ambani's income was increasing 90 crore per hour. Rich are becoming richer, poor are becoming poorer, and this was more stark during the time of pandemics. That's what the report says. Indian billionaires increased their wealth by 35% to 3 trillion during the lockdown, ranking them behind their counterparts in USA, China, Germany, Russia and France, says the inequality virus report brought out by Oxfam, a non-profit organization. the rise of fortunes of top 100 billionaires is enough to give every one of the 38 million poorest Indian people a check of 94,045 rupees, the report released on the opening day of the World Economic Forum in Davos. The World Economic Forum meeting is taking place in Davos, it is in France. Okay. Read the report, it is thought provoking, it may have a certain element of imagination and uncertainties, but still it is very good and it is an eye opener. Final hearing against UP's conversion law on February 2. We have discussed about UP's conversion law many times before. The UP government has come out with a prohibition of unlawful conversion of religion ordinance 2020 on February 2, citing a petition moved by the Yogi Adityanath led government. So the Allahabad High Court has deferred the final hearing of the writ petition on February 2. The Allahabad High Court will listen to the petition on February 2. We have discussed about this topic many times in the past days of analysis, so I am skipping. At Davos Forum, she warns world leaders against the new Cold War. I shall briefly tell you what Cold War is. Cold War is a time period between 1945 to 1988-1990. Cold War, with the Second World War, the open wars between countries ended, but the world got polarized on two polars. One polar was led by the United States of America, the Western nations, the NATO countries, North Atlantic Treaty Organization countries. They were on one side, and on the Eastern Bloc led by the Soviet Union, the erstwhile Soviet Union on the other bloc. They are called Warsaw Pact countries. To quote Sir Winston Churchill, Iron Curtain countries. So the world got polarized under the leadership of USA on one side and USSR on the other side. Though there was no open war between these two big groups, they were always preparing for war. The world got virtually divided into two blocks and they were preparing for war. In fact, the calamities created by the Cold War was worse than the two world wars that the world waged, because it was during the Cold War time that maximum people were forced to go to poverty. Why? Because the welfare states, the modern states, those were supposed to improve the welfare of the people, were spending all their wealth in making arms, anticipating a future war. So that forced a substantial percentage of the world population into abject poverty. So more people died during the Cold War time than the actual number that lost their lives during the two world war putting together. So that is the Cold War. There was not even a single open war between these two groups, the Western power on one side and on the Eastern power on the other side, but it was a kind of they were always in preparation of a war, they were always anticipating war. That era is called the Cold War. Now at Davos Forum, she says that Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, warns the world leaders against new Cold War. Chinese President Xi Jinping warned global leaders at an all virtual World Economic Forum at Davos on Monday against starting a new Cold War and urged global unity in the face of coronavirus pandemic. Having largely curbed the spread of the pandemic within its borders, Xi wants to position China as a key player in the new multilateral world order as the US remains crippled by the pandemic. to build small cliques or start of a new Cold War, to reject, threaten or intimidate others will only push the world into division, says she, adding that confrontation will lead to a dead end. So, I have given you a brief about the Cold War. Now, you may please read and build your ideas. The third question of the day is given to you. The Union government has decided to impose a green tax on older vehicles as a penalty for polluting the environment. Pick out the most correct choice among the following with regard to the proposals. A. Personal vehicles will be charged a tax at the time of renewal of registration certificate after 15 years. The levy may differ depending on fuel and type of vehicles. 10 to 25% road tax on transport vehicles older than 8 years at the time of renewal of fitness certificate. Steeper penalty up to 50% of road tax for older vehicles registered in some of the highly polluted cities. Only those vehicles owned by the government departments and PSUs, public sector units, that are older than 15 years need to be scrapped. Which of the following is the most correct? Is it that all the above are correct? Is it that all except E, all except D and D, or all except D, or none of these? Okay, the first response has come. Yes, the answer is all the above. All the above are correct. So, please make sure that you read each one of the information that is given, very, very important. Please read. The new governmental policy mooting imposition of green tax will come into effect on. When will the new green tax will come into effect? Is it on April 1, 2021, April 1, 2022, January 1, 2022, January 1, 2023 or January 1, 2024? Yes, it is correct. The government had floated a draft voluntary vehicle fleet modernization program that aimed to take 28 million decade-old vehicles off the road. This was done in 2016. In 2016, the government came out with a draft voluntary vehicle fleet modernization program. In 2016, the government came out with a draft voluntary vehicle fleet modernization program aiming to take 28 million a decade old, 10-year-old vehicles from the Indian roads. So, as a part of this particular idea, that the latest policy was announced, created and announced, drafted and announced, and will come to effect on April 1, 2022. So, we have got one more year. Green tax mooted for personal vehicles older than 15 years. Please read. This is the information that I gave. voluntary vehicle fleet modernization program, that was in 2016. Devaki Jain, Beena Agarwal or Jayati Ghosh? Yes, please give me the answer. I've started getting the response. Quickly let the answers come. Yes, the answer is the fifth option, Jayati Ghosh. Very important. She is currently a professor of economics at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. So, Professor Jayati Ghosh is our answer. Jayati Ghosh appointed UN advisory panel. The sixth question is given to you. Name the Indian leader whose name was given to a room in the Indonesian Embassy in New Delhi. In a room in the Indonesian Embassy in New Delhi, a room in the Indonesian Embassy in New Delhi was named after an Indian leader. Who is that Indian leader? Yes, the answer is the fourth option. It is Biju Patnaik. Biju Patnaik was a career pilot during his initial years. He was a skilled pilot who flew several missions to transport the first president of Indonesia, Sukarno, out of Indonesia during the country's struggle against Dutch colonial times. Indonesia was a former Dutch colony. During the struggle for independence, Biju Patnaik, a pilot then, rescued and transported during several missions. He transported General Sukarno, who later on became the president of Indonesia. So, to honor Biju Patnaik, a room in the Indonesian Embassy in Delhi was named after him. Question number 7. Pick out the correct statement among the following with regard to Larry King, who died recently. He was an iconic talk show host in the United States television. He co-founded the company Ora Media. He ran a 25-year talk show, the CNN's Larry King Live. Quickly, please give me answers. Let the responses come quickly. I am awaiting your responses. Larry King, an important personality, international personality. Okay, the answer is correct, all the above. All the above is correct. So, note down all the 3 points with regard to Larry King. 8th question, the International Day of Education was observed recently on. The International Day of Education. The time is up. Answer quickly. Very good. The answer is correct. It is January 24, the fourth option. The day was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly to honor education and its value to the humanity and sustainable development. The role of education to honor education and its value to humanity and sustainable development. The next question: which of the following was the theme of the 2021 International Day of Education? Recover and Revitalise Education of the COVID-19 Generation, Education during the times of COVID, An Year to Forget, An Year Never to be Welcomed, We Will Get Over. None of these. What was the theme of the International Day of Education 2021? Excellent. The first option, Recover and Revitalise Education of the COVID-19 generation. Very good. The next question: India celebrates the National Girl Child Day on National Girl Child Day, very important. Is it January 21, 22, 23, 24 or 25? Correct. The answer is January 24. National Day, Girl Child Day is January 24. International Day of Education is also January 24. The next question: what is e-epic? It is a book published by Human Resource Ministry portraying all epics of India in the electronic form, an initiative by the UGC to digitalize all textbooks. It is the electronic version of the electoral photo identity card issued by the Election Commission. It is the identity card issued by the Employees Provident Fund for its subscribers. None of these. What is the answer? E-epic. What is e-epic? Very correct. The third option is the answer. It is the electronic version of the electoral photo identity card issued by the Election Commission. Very good. The third option, I got a few correct answers, but maybe one or two wrong too. The next question, the 12th one. The new policy that aims to give fillip to growth stunted nano micro enterprises in India, India's informal sector, is titled Udyog-Enterprises Network, USNet. The new policy that aims to give fillip to growth stunted nano micro enterprise in India's informal sector is titled Udyog-Enterprises. Is it Udyog Sahayak, Udyog Srishti, Udyog Shram, Udyog Seva or Udyog Service? Very quickly respond please. The proposed frameworks draft was the draft was proposed by Asim Premji University, FICCI, Tata Institute of Social Sciences. It aims to provide growth driven services to 62 million nano micro enterprises that provide jobs to 100 million people. The answer is correct. Adira, Anakha, Rujik all made the correct. It is Sahayak, not the other choices. Sahayak. It is Udyog Sahayak Enterprises Network, USNet. My dear students, thank you very much for watching the program. Today is January 27. There is no newspaper today, so we will not have a news analysis program tomorrow, but the day after we will definitely come back. So please make sure that you go through the questions that we discussed today, that will be available in our mobile application, in the daily Gyan section of our mobile application. The questions that I give